Coming up today on JBYC, should we give internet to the world?
Barack Obama!
I didn't really come up with a topic. I just watched a lot of Summer Games Done Quick. They reached $3 million. That's awesome. And then I started playing the Shadowbringer expansion, and I haven't done anything else.
All that and more on today's episode of JBYC.
July brings yucky clouds.
Got a shad on the feeding rod. Missed it. Missed it again. Oh, he jumped over 2 turtles.
Thank the maker. This oil bath is going to feel so good.
Wow, it cut off the beginning. Cut off the beginning of the intro, but my name's Bobby, and it's Monday, July 1st, 2019. You're listening to episode 14 of JBYC. This is a show where 3 people who've been friends for longer than any of us care to remember get together and talk about what's been going on and has been on our minds the past week. Every week we have a topic or a theme, and this week's theme is not spaceships, it is hope. It's hope. Let me go ahead and introduce my co-hosts. Jump right into it. First up is the always reliable, always there when I start the call and get ready 30 minutes before showtime goes, Ryan. How's it going, Ryan?
Good. I didn't plan anything because I've just been injecting video games into my eyeballs.
You've just been,
Reliable,
injecting video games. What kind of video games?
Like I said, Summer Games Done Quick. And that's just a bunch of speedrun. And then Shadowbringers, because all I talk about is apparently Final Fantasy.
And the other person here with me over there in the booth, I don't know why I like to talk about the booth. It feels right, is EJ. The Edge.
I am the edge.
Yeah.
I bring hope to you all. I hope that you are all having a good evening if you're in an evening place, or a good morning if you're where I am, where it's the morning. I hope that you're happy, and I hope that you're healthy. I hope we get through the show without embarrassing myself too much.
Never.
Bobby and Ryan embarrassed themselves, though.
Yeah, I've kind of make it.
To hate.
I kind of make it a thing. That's what I do. I just embarrass myself.
I'm going to hate time. No more hope. Hate.
Hate.
I'm gonna hate train.
Ryan's the hopeless one.
Hate train.
The hater and the hopeless.
Are we? I don't know what we're talking about right now.
Ryan's talking about hate. Ryan's a hate boy.
It's a pretty basic word. It's 4 letters, just like hope.
Yeah, it's only the middle ones are different. Hate.
This sounds like the makings of a good, like a good Minions meme for like older folks, for boomers.
Hate is hope, but the middle has been changed.
So like a new Minions thing? Because I hate Minions, and I would love to
make
have
a new Minions meme,
thing.
a boomer Minions meme out of this.
Hope,
The only
hate.
difference between hate and hope is
2 letters.
You gotta don't at the OP. Wait, this is getting too
It has to be
non-boomer.
dumb,
This
yeah.
is getting too millennial.
Yeah.
Because like don't at me and the OP.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Original
Oh, yeah,
poster.
yeah. Don't at the OP. Yes.
Because I don't know. Someone you got the tool. You
Just
got the
put it on a
ingredients now.
Hallmark
Go make
card. It'll sell. It'll sell. I don't think people
Hallmark.
read those things anyway.
Minions
card.
suck, and I hate them. And I know it's a millennial thing to say, but I hate them. They're so dumb.
What you
Remember
hate?
when
What?
they tried to make?
Minions, you know, like every.
But the movie's good though. Did you ever
grandparent,
watch
like-
Despicable Me, the film? It's a good film.
Yeah, it's good. I haven't seen
Funny
the second
film.
one. But like, there's just like older
like
people, for
3 or
lack of
4
a better term, latched onto them as a meme conveyance, and it's so terrible. Sorry.
No,
old
I like the
people.
T-shirts. The T-shirts are the best.
No, they're terrible.
They're so funny. It's like
No,
you gotta
they're
embrace the
funny,
suck
but-
sometimes.
They're funny unironically though. Like they're like not doing what they intend to do.
I know they're funny ironically.
Yeah,
Or does it get so ironic that it becomes unironic again?
maybe. I think people unironically like the irony of them.
I think they're funny.
This is.
I think they're
I
funny.
can't follow this conversation anymore.
I think those minions are so
Minions,
funny.
you know what we're talking about.
No, I
Come
know.
on.
I know what you're talking about, but I still can't follow. That's how rough this is.
You're rough.
Yeah, I
Sure.
am rough and tumble.
Back to hate.
So I I went on a run recently, and I have all. Do you guys have?
Snore.
EJ, I know you go running. Do you have weird things that happen to you when you go running all the time?
Yeah, I live in Vietnam, so every single time I go running, it's bizarre. It's a bizarre experience every time. There's just so much that can go strangely.
Well, you probably have a similar problem that I do, that we wear. Or do you wear contacts? I know you need glasses. Do you wear contacts?
No, I got LASIK when I was like 22.
That's right. So you don't have
So
the problem.
I really,
that I have.
yeah, I only need glasses when I'm using my computer or reading. I don't usually want to run.
My problem is that I can't run.
Ryan's got the minions.
I can't run with my glasses on, right? So there's all these weird things that happen to me that have to do with
That
not being able to
sweaty
see
nose
really
bridge.
well. Yeah, because they'll just fall right off. Recently, the other day, it was I'm running in the evening, and it's the time of the day when the sprinklers in the neighborhood are on. Like, you
You need to get some glasses like the minions wear, Bob. Those look like good running glasses. See, they got the strap.
Oh, the strap on the back of the head.
You do need
Yeah,
a strap,
You need those
yeah.
athletic minion glasses.
I should look into that. But they were the sprinklers were on in this like tight. They like installed all new sprinklers in the neighborhood, and they're in this like tight stream, so I cannot see them at all. Like I can't tell that they're on for some reason.
You have like communal sprinklers.
Well, we live in a big old fancy neighborhood with an HOA and stuff, so yeah, there are sprinklers on the shared thoroughfares, like through the shared parts of the neighborhood. And they spray across the walking path because I guess they have to do that. I don't know why else I assume that they have to do that. Otherwise, why else would you be a jerk and spray them across the walking path? So.
See, that's a pretty good example of what we're always talking about with like the upper class folks love communism for themselves.
Yeah.
'Cause it's like a communally owned.
I don't like it at all.
Owned,
I can't stand having an HOA. It's just.
Well, you're a rugged individualist, Bob.
Have I told the story
Every time
about
I hear HOA, I think Beachfront Avenue right afterwards.
HOA?
Beachfront Avenue.
We just dated ourselves.
Yeah, maybe.
That's
The hit
Vanilla
Vanilla
Ice
Ice.
reference.
Yeah, we performed that lip sync on stage
talked
in
about
our
that
high
halfway.
school.
Acapella.
Yeah.
Wait, was it acapella?
No,
or
it wasn't lip sync.
Yeah,
That's right.
It was
We
acapella.
straight up,
Acapella.
yeah, we straight up did the whole thing. We sang it, and we lost because the judges thought we were lip syncing it.
Yeah. We were too
Really?
good. Yeah.
Yes.
Too cool for school. We were literally too cool for school.
Yeah.
Wait, weren't
Too
you
cool for
like the
Stratford High
host,
School.
EJ?
I was a host. Was that the one where I was the host? I don't remember.
I think so.
I got fired because I was like, I tried to do this.
You were emceeing.
What's
You
his
got
name?
fired from emceeing.
Andy Kaufman. I tried to do this Andy Kaufman thing. Remember he had the agent who was like a jerk.
Yeah.
I basically ripped that character off, and I wore like a leisure suit and made fun of all the acts, and then they fired me.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
And
'Cause you were actually
they specifically fired me because, well, there was this one girl who I can't remember her name, but she was like really really talented singer, and
Yeah.
she actually I think went on like what was that old like before they had it was before like The View and stuff. It was long Star Search or something.
Star Search.
I mean, that was an old thing, but I think that's
That-
before
that was
us.
far before us. Yeah.
Well, what was it? It was or what was it? There's like a concert hall in New York City or something.
I don't know. Just
You know,
Radio
okay,
station.
anyway,
we'll
she went
call
on some
it
TV show.
Find the Singer. We're just gonna call it that.
Yeah.
Find the Singer.
So she was like really, really talented, and she sang a very, very beautiful song. It was like very clearly way beyond the scope of a high school talent.
And you
contest,
stepped all
know?
over it.
No, I just said at the end of it, I was like, she should sing solo. Solo, you can't hear her, or something like that. You know, it was just like a really bad,
Wow,
intentionally ridiculous joke. And she was obviously very, very talented.
Right.
And they got really mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
Live at the
her.
Apollo.
She thought it was funny. She thought she took the joke, but the teachers just like didn't get the joke. You know, they didn't understand my art,
Yeah. No,
so I got fired.
that's okay.
Yeah, Chris, I think it was the Apollo.
Yeah, the Apollo. That's right.
So we get we get
Live,
we get
that's the Apollo.
spam email to the JBYC account all the time. But I just got one recently that was weird, but not weird like it's penis peels weird or
Penis peels.
What the?
because that
That's
would
a
be normal,
condition
you know.
you need pills for.
The subject is a new method of email distribution, and it says, first of all, it says ciao jbyc.net. It says, but then it
Ciao,
says,
Bella.
here we go. Ready? It says, we offer sending your commercial offer through the feedback form, which can be found on the sites in the communication section. Contact form are filled by our software, and the CAPTCHA is solved. The profit of this method is that messages sent through feedback forms are whitelisted. Okay, so right, but here's the funny part. This came through our contact form on our website.
Yeah.
And
See, if they were a little bit better at irony, they could just be like, hate getting emails like this.
yeah, I feel like they were like,
Use our
you know how
service.
like like the teenage kids now will like hack like Google's servers or something, and then like say you should give me a job, but they really just go to jail because they've been watching too many movies. I feel like that's what they were
I
doing.
didn't
They
know
were
that
like,
that's what kids today were doing.
Yeah, what?
you know,
These
the old
kids
the
today
old
with their hacking
pastime
Google,
of
asking for
hacking
jobs
Google
and then going to
services.
prison because they've watched too much.
Yeah,
Welcome back to Out of Touch Father Corner with Bobby.
kids these
I
days.
think that must be that. I don't know, Bob. Are you like at the dad stage now, where you saw like a 60 Minutes news magazine story on the TV?
Well, that
about
was a
them
story.
kids today are
Yes,
hacking?
that was a story I heard on a podcast, Daily Show. Yes,
Oh, are podcasts the new 60 Minutes for dads?
there it is for
Is
me.
that like? It's like
Well, sort
'cause
of.
when we were
yeah.
kids, you know, the old people would be like, "Well, I saw on 60 Minutes that the kids are starting."
That's
to...
absolutely what it's
drink-
got to be, because now it's like, you know what I heard on This American Life.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
I was listening to
We've
Radiolab the
rounded
other day.
corner.
Yeah.
Radiolab is like the new public, what do you call it? Mass hysteria outlet.
Yeah.
These kids today are all hacking Google,
Oh.
and you're like talking to your kids.
Yeah.
Keep
You're not
keep
hacking
name
Google, are
dropping
you?
podcasts so we can get them all to look at us.
Years old.
Yeah.
Visibility.
If only the SEO listened to our podcast, the search
Yeah.
engine.
They said all the right words.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to this.
I was
This-
hoping you would say that.
this.
Boo. How audacious of you.
All right. So I got a question for you guys for my segment here. You didn't even hold on. Did we even hear that stinger? Here we go.
Dang it, Bobby,
I
that's
heard it.
exactly what we
Yeah, it was
don't
super
want.
loud, but-
Bobby, I've got some good news.
All right. I played the long version of it this time. So
I
the
hoped you would.
keep on using that one. All right. So
I hope
do
he
you
doesn't.
do you guys think that internet access is one of those things that it's a public global like good for humanity for us to give to everyone? Like everyone should have internet access. We should make it so that all the disparate parts of the world that have trouble getting internet access, we should be providing access to the internet to everyone. Do you think that?
Internet is a right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a communist, so yeah, emphatically yes.
All right. So what if the cost of doing that was launching 12,000 satellites into orbit that would basically quadruple, effectively you'd look up in the sky and you would have a quadrupled number of what appeared to be stars in the sky. What if
I
that
know
was
what
the
you're
cost?
talking about. And they're low orbit, and they're supposed to last for what, like 5 to 10 years or something, and then they have black ones that come back on. Like they have a bunch that are not running also, and then they turn them on as the other ones go down.
Right. Yeah. So to give context here, you may have heard of this. It's this Starlink thing. It's been a really big sort of like controversy lately. It's Starlink, SpaceX. You know, good old Elon Musk has
I
this
know about this.
plan that he's been putting into motion. You're like, I already said that. He's got this plan with
No, I
scare
was
quotes.
laughing at EJ being
Okay.
all like grumbly gruffs.
Oh, okay. So the Starlink thing is he's got all these little tiny what are called bus satellites, which are basically they make satellites that are made to be able to be used generally for lots of different things. But anyway, that's not the important part. The important thing is they're working on a constellation of 12,000, a satellite constellation of 12,000 satellites that will eventually, over the next, I think, 10 years, get launched into low Earth orbit in 3 different shells, and there will be 12,000 satellites providing internet access to the world through space, you know, and but the controversy is because that sounds on the surface of it that sounds pretty cool, but the controversy has been in the astronomical community. Astronomers have been saying that this is going to radically like make it incredibly difficult to do astronomy. And also just plain, you'll look up in the sky, and literally you'll look up in the sky because these things apparently have a very high albedo. Albedo is the ability for something to reflect sunlight. They've got really high albedo, and they look like stars in the sky. Like that's how bright they will be, and it will effectively quadruple the number of things that look like stars. Like it'll look like there's 4 times as many stars in the sky.
So, I mean, this is the whole thing. This is my whole problem with this whole idea of philanthropy to begin with, is when you have one person or one entity, but usually it's actually one individual or a family that gets to make these massive decisions about the direction of humanity unilaterally. So it's like it's a recuperative effort by capitalists and you magnates to, you know, oh, see, I'm giving back to humanity, but think about how much power you have when you have billions of dollars, trillions of, you know, you're putting all this money, you're deciding the direction of humanity unilaterally. It's like it's actually like it's terrifying to me, really.
Are you saying this is bad?
Well, don't you think that, like, why does Elon Musk get to make this decision?
Yeah, but
It feels like this is something that like all of humanity should be making this decision together.
I mean, I don't know about that.
I think that's an interesting question to have, but before we ask that question, because I want to comment on that, I do still have the general question of, do you think it's worth it? Do you think it's a good trade-off to make astronomy really difficult, basically pollute the night sky with extra stars that aren't real, but the world has internet access now. Like you've connected the world.
I think it's a good trade-off. I say yes.
I don't think it's an easy question to answer. Like this is a legitimate question.
I can't possibly answer that question because I don't know enough about. That's kind of my whole point. I don't think one person can.
I would
need like to study the problem for months, probably.
I mean, yeah, I'm not making the policy decision. Sure, I agree with you there. But like, the internet, I think, is a tool for good, despite all the badness on it. And people that use it end up becoming more, for lack of a better word, liberal in their views. And as long as they're not put into their own little dumb bubbles, but like, people are generally better off for being connected to other cultures and peoples around the world.
Yeah.
And my questions are more about like who, you know, how are the decisions being made about the technology? Like what websites can and can't be accessed? Are they going to have some kind of like, because I remember at some point, this might be a different thing that I'm thinking of, but at some point, I think Elon Musk was talking about doing some kind of internet service, or who was it? No, this wasn't Elon Musk. This was Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg was talking about doing some kind of like free internet thing in maybe it was in India or something, but he was going to make it so that like only certain websites were like totally free, and of course one of them was Facebook.
See, I'm with you on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's a legitimate concern. That's definitely a legitimate concern because they would
corporate overreach.
Because they would have control over this network. SpaceX would, and because he's also talked about providing a pay structure for like urban areas that have or maybe I don't know what the term is. Areas in developed nations that just have a hard time getting the internet. There would be pay structures for that. But like really underdeveloped areas might not have to pay for it at all. But the point is, like to your point, they would be SpaceX, Elon Musk and his company would be the ones presumably in control of that, unless there was some sort of like international policy making that happened.
See, trying to get like it's like if it were. I feel like if Elon Musk really wanted to just benefit humanity, he would go to like the United Nations and he would say, I have this idea, I could do it, we would provide all the technology, we would do it for free, and you tell us how to do it, and like hand it over to entities that are at least nominally democratic and at least nominally represent the interests of humanity, not one guy and his company.
Well, he's not even
corporation.
trying to pretend that they're not trying to get a profit off of it, because he has said that this is a part of the funding structure, like the way that he funds the mission, these initial missions to Mars. So,
and then think about also the power you then get. I mean, like, you could literally hold the world hostage in certain ways. You could do, like, there's so much potential for abuse. It's just incredible. There's so much potential for abuse. To have one corporation providing free internet for the entire planet, to me, the costs outweigh the benefits by far.
Yeah.
Because think about how heavily you can abuse that. You could just, they could say, and they could get everybody used to it, so, and everyone's relying on it. The infrastructures of developing, like, okay, like, say for instance you're in some very poor developing country and you have all these different things you have to spend your money on, right? You have to spend your money on food, everything, healthcare, and so then this corporation's like, oh, we'll give you free internet. So then of course that cash-strapped nation is going to be like, oh, okay, well, we're just going to stop developing our infrastructure for the internet. We don't have to waste money on that anymore. Elon Musk is giving us that for free. And so then 5 years later, Elon Musk is like, hey, it's time to pay up. And they have no choice because they haven't been investing in their own internet infrastructure.
yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? It gives them, even if they.
This is why I bring this up to you guys, because my initial thoughts really were not this at all. My initial thoughts were more like the astronomy of it and all that kind of stuff. People like Mitsuki Kazan in the chat room says something like how this has already been a problem with light pollution in cities, and this would just either amplify the problem, and then there's the additional problems of it would interfere with the albedo would interfere with radio astronomy as well. That's already been determined, because a few of these are already up there, so they already know what the effects look like. But that's why I'm glad to have brought it up, because I hadn't even considered these sorts of, you're right, these like global economic impacts.
You see all these damn satellites clogging up my
behind you on your
night sky.
Yeah.
You can barely even see this vaporwave sun.
Yeah. But that's a really excellent point, because even if it is being offered for free, you begin to rely on that. I mean, just look at the parts of the world where everyone does have access to the internet. Pretty much everyone. I shouldn't say everybody, but like holy cow, if I'd had lost access to the internet 90% of not just my leisure time, but like literally there are things that I need access to the internet in order to be able to do, like paying bills, and I don't know how to pay my internet the internet bill. Like, I don't know how to do that without the internet. Isn't that weird?
They send you paper and you send it back.
Yeah.
I told them not to send me paper.
That's what I'm saying. You stopped sending paper, but
ultimate
it
irony.
still exists.
But how would I tell them to start sending me paper again?
Ostensibly, they would send it to you
Send them a letter.
unprovoked. Yeah.
Write them a letter.
Well,
They
I
were like,
guess,
hey, the
Dear
internet's gone,
Comcast.
but we still want to be paid, so we're going to send you this letter. Bills
yeah,
are
that's
due.
a fair point. That's a fair point. But by then I've already been out of the internet for like 2 months, and they're just annoyed with me, and I've already like died of starvation or something.
Gone back to basics, yeah.
You're not even going to open your letter.
Yeah.
Don't even open this letter. You
Use
didn't
it
pay
for
sending
firewood.
it.
Yeah, kindling.
Yeah, because I'm not able to pay my electric bill.
Yeah.
So no, that's a.
I agree with the general idea, though, that like, yeah, it's tied up in potentially nefarious circumstances. I think the idea of a global internet is very good, but at the same time, not this particular one.
I think
Yeah.
I would agree with Ryan, and I would want it. I would want all the people I would want all the stakeholders. And in this case, the stakeholders are like the people of Earth, like all the nations of Earth, all the scientists of Earth. I would want there to be some very like concerted international, non-corporate oversight, and I would want. It would have to be like a United. I can't think of any other entity that could do it.
Yeah.
Like I think it would have to be a United Nations thing, in my opinion. And I'm not a big fan of the United Nations, but
Yeah. No, but that's a good point.
Like, it's definitely better than SpaceX doing it.
Yeah, that's a good point that what you had said about if he wanted to really benefit humanity, bring it to some sort of international or global organization or whatever. But that's just the thing. He's not like he has out and out stated that this is part of a funding plan for going to Mars so that he can go to Mars.
It's the big winner from that situation would definitely be Elon Musk for sure.
Mhm.
He would have like incredible power and a huge source of revenue. I mean, it would just be like, yeah, he would come out on top from that situation.
And
It's a good idea to give everyone in the world the internet, but that's, I don't know. I don't like that structuring at all.
Yes, yeah, I think that's basically how I feel about it too. Before we move on, there is one thing. When all the astronomers were, getting all
Being
up in
nerds.
arms, being nerds about it, and saying, "But we won't be able to look at
Whoa,
our
buddy.
stars anymore."
Don't go too deep there. Control yourself.
I'm just kidding. I love
Wow.
astronomy. But when they started complaining about that, rightly so, he had such a I felt like a condescending response. He basically said that okay, so then I'll just introduce an on-demand reorientation adjustment system so that you can do it if you can do your science.
You can pay a monthly fee.
Right.
You can subscribe to our satellite reconfiguration service. That's how he
Right.
would do it for sure.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Dr. Musk. Oh wait, you're not a doctor. You're just some asshole banker, internet banker.
Yeah.
Scientists wouldn't say asshole.
If they get real mad, they might.
Yeah. What would
Yeah,
they what would they
mad
say
science.
instead?
Simpleton.
Not, simpleton's good. Ignoramus. That's what it would be.
Ignoramus.
Ignoramus.
All right. Yeah, I agree. That's really
Cro-Magnon.
Cro-Magnon, man. Yeah.
Kind of a share.
So tell me about yeah. So tell me what are we talking about this week, EJ? You always have something good and hot and
Well,
It's very hot. I agree.
What's the cause of this commotion?
Oh, you're cutting out. You're cutting out. Try it again. Hold on. Try it again. Except go into your Discord settings and turn
Discord. Yeah.
on your voice activity.
Voice and video.
Turn
Yeah.
automatically determine input sensitivity. Turn that off and swipe that thing all the way down to the left.
Yep.
okay. All right.
Through your mic.
Okay, here we go.
Now try again.
Trying again.
I still get phone
What's
books
the
keyed to the field.
cause of this commotion?
Good job.
Motion, our country through. It is the ball
I hope there's a payoff for this.
For
Tippecanoe and
Tyler too. For Tippecanoe.
There was a song.
Tyler too.
Tippecanoe and
And
Tyler.
with them will be
Beat
little
van. I hate this. I hate this rendition. Okay, so this is the thing.
Tippecanoe and Tyler too.
Tippecanoe and Tyler too.
Back in the when was that? In the 1800s?
1840.
Were
when
they all
was
like
when
were
this
they
was
all
written.
like standing at political rallies back then with their hands to their heart singing this song?
It's
a
not
stump
okay. Well,
song.
first of all, let me set this up for you. I
Okay.
always thought Tippecanoe and Tyler 2 was just like a campaign slogan.
That's what I
But
thought.
in fact, the campaign slogan wasn't such a big deal. The song was the big deal. It was like the song was a viral sensation. And they would print out the sheet music and hand it out all over America.
It's Oh
And,
Brother, Where Art Thou? Where they made a song and it became a big thing and it was used in a political
yes,
thing.
Exactly. So it was a novelty song actually. And contrary to that really soulful rendition we just heard, it was actually like kind of a bawdy comedy song. So the lyrics are quickly, what's the cause of this commotion, motion, our country through? It is the ball a-rolling on. For Tippecanoe and Tyler 2, and with them will beat Little Van. That's Martin Van Buren.
Yeah,
So they're
yeah.
making fun of him. Little Van. Van is a used up man, and with them will beat Little Van.
That sounds like that's a Trump level insult right there.
It is Trump level insult.
little
And
Van.
it's true. Martin
Van
Van
Buren
Buren
was the president already. I guess he ran again a few years later.
Yeah.
Yeah, he ran a lot. He also ran in 1844. I know that from the "They Might Be Giants" song.
Yeah.
Napoleon the Stump.
James K. Polk. Yeah.
Maddie Smith says he has no idea what we're talking about. This is very
talking about US president.
U.S. history focused for sure.
Tyler is
Maddie- he's
president
from Australia.
number 11.
Martin Van Buren. Okay, here's the thing. Martin Van Buren, from my perspective, was the good guy in this story. He was an abolitionist.
Yeah, why would
Therefore-
They Might Be Giants write a song about the bad guy, right? Martin Van Buren.
Well, the song was about James K. Polk.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Martin Van Buren was an abolitionist, and he was very unpopular with people who wanted to own other human beings. Tippecanoe refers to William Henry Harrison. God
Which is
damn
number
it! This is okay. William
9. Then 10's
look,
Tyler.
this is ridiculous.
Bolt
I
Taylor.
get William. Where's his freaking
For those-
name?
for-
William
for
Henry
those-
Harrison.
There's no way for you guys to know this. Before we went live today, EJ could not say William Henry Harrison to save his life.
Because of Harry and the Hendersons.
Right.
I kept wanting to say William Harry Henderson. And then I kept calling Harry and the Hendersons Henry and the Harrisons. Okay, William Henry Harrison was the hero of Tippecanoe. Now, the Battle of Tippecanoe was disgusting. It was a battle where a confederacy of Native American tribes got together because they were basically like tired of being pushed around by the United States. And then William Henry Harrison basically just slaughtered them all. So
Like you do.
and then so he's kind of a butthole, but anyway, yeah, kind of a Donald Trump of his time, I guess you could say. Except he didn't have the fallen arches, so he couldn't get out of the military service.
Well, Jackson's right there. He's 2 presidents beforehand. So
Yeah, so it was basically this all comes out of the War of 1812, which was about at this point 28 years earlier. So
Well, that
yeah.
so I
anyway.
never hold on. Just a real quick aside: is Donald Trump the Andrew Jackson of our time?
oh,
Except for the fact that
no.
Andrew Jackson actually,
Got stuff done.
murdered.
Well, I don't know. They're pretty similar in a lot of ways.
The only way I can really
I couldn't see Donald Trump actually like ever facing combat though in real
Yeah.
life.
Right.
That's the major difference, I think.
But the connection is that Trump does like Andrew Jackson. He has a picture of him in the White House.
Andrew
It
Jackson
surprises
basically
no one.
changed the face of. You know what? I'll say there's a direct link between Andrew Jackson and Donald Trump because Andrew Jackson changed the way that the running for president worked. Because before Andrew Jackson, nobody ran for president; they stood for president. Andrew Jackson was the first person. So it was originally like kind of a joke. They were sort of making fun of Andrew Jackson because they would say like, "Oh, Thomas Jefferson now stands for president," and they were like, "Oh, this Andrew Jackson fellow is running for president."
Oh, is that where the term comes from?
How gauche. Yeah, that's where it came from.
I had
It
no
was Kind
idea.
of a way of making. So he did this stuff like he got this giant cheese in the White House and he like just gave it. He was a demagogue. He was like, "Come, people, have this cheese. Vote for me." So he did all this like he had all these shenanigans. He basically like created this whole which leads us into what I wanted to talk about today
Right.
because
And now our president is
becomes-
cheese. Is the cheese?
it's become this
That
big
was a
like
reach.
advertising empire.
Shut up.
So these like this Tippecanoe and Tyler 2 thing was one of the first like really viral slogan-y kind of things. And since then we've had I like Mike. Oh god.
Ike.
I like Ike.
I like my.
I mean Mike's an okay guy, but I like Ike.
Mike and Ike's.
I like Mike and Ike's.
Yeah. Yeah, they get stuck in my teeth.
Speaking
Yeah,
of
too
dad
gummy.
candies. I like Mike and Ike's though. But if you want to sponsor the show, Mike and Ike's.
It's probably Nestle or something.
We're probably a good match for each other. We're both pretty desperate, I think, at this point. But anyway, yeah, okay. So the whole point of this was to bring us to fast forward to the present day, where Obama had the hope and change we can believe in, hope and change,
Audacity of Hope.
the audacity of hope. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then of course, good old Don Trump has "Make America Great Again."
Mm-hmm.
And
I like how
what did Hillary
how
have
hard it was
stronger-
to get that name out of your mouth. Hillary's campaign slogan?
Stronger together.
Yeah.
Stronger
Yeah.
together. So I don't really, I didn't really set this up.
Stronger together. Yeah. It was definitely that was the most focused grouped slogan ever.
It's really, I think, a terrible slogan.
I know that's kind of what I'm saying. It was like the life of was sucked out of it.
Please, let's
But
not
do you-
do 2016
think-
right now.
Well, I was gonna say, like, do you think that? I mean, to me, it seems like the slogans have become so important, and the branding
yeah.
and the
Oh,
marketing.
well, of course, certainly
You know
they
what
are.
I'm
Of
saying?
course they are.
And so I just wanted to open this up as like a panel discussion. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? What does that mean for democracy?
I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, but I posit that it's a necessary thing.
It's a reflection on the electorate more than them, I think, where you have to be a face since television started. Otherwise, you can't get going.
Yeah.
Well, I would say like it's kind of actually that's I never thought about this before, Ryan, but yeah, so I think it was important before there was television because like before there was radio and stuff, because you basically would probably never even see the candidate ever.
Never. You see a newspaper clipping.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would see like newspaper articles about what they said and stuff. So that was probably like important back then to be able to condense your message down to like a song or something.
But now when you have like a circus of people on stage trying to be the president, you need to stand out. So you've got to feel the
Did
burn.
you see,
or
by the
you've
way,
gotta, you know,
the Democratic debates?
Yeah.
Did y'all watch this?
I've looked
did.
at some.
I watched
I didn't
all of
watch
it.
them. No.
Yes.
Short answer is no.
Yes, I mean it's like
I'm
you
really
have to,
dreading
there
what
were
you're gonna
20
say.
people.
Yeah.
It was like you
yeah.
have to. How do you stand out in that? It was a terrible format for a debate. I mean, it was just terrible.
It's super early. The third debates are when they start cutting. Yeah.
They did better this year than. Well, maybe not to the point
It's
that you're
more people
making.
than the previous time.
No, well, I was going to say maybe they didn't do better to the point that you're making, but they at least split it up into 2 nights and
Yeah, Whiskers. Super don't want this.
yeah, we're not recapping any debates.
You're right though. There's a lot of people, and I'll say that the way it works now, using the debates as the talking point, the people that were polling well, your Bernies, your Bidens, your Warrens, didn't have to interrupt and make a scene because they didn't have to be seen to like keep their numbers up. But your crazy people like your Williamsons, that were like those kind of people, had to interrupt and say whatever so that they can be seen, which is the whole point you're getting at to begin with, where it's like it's personality regardless of policy is part and parcel of the program now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the people were trying to do the Trump brand. They were trying to go onto the Trump brand, which is like they were trying to be talking tough. They're trying to go overtime because that was
Sure.
Trump's whole thing. He just didn't care about the time and stuff like that, and he just steamrolled everybody. So that was kind of like
Interruption
in a
is
way the
kind of a
Trump's
thing, yeah.
brand.
Well, it's
is kinda my
it's
brand.
before him. It's a classic debate thing,
Yeah.
like interrupting.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
keeping
yeah.
the point. Yeah.
He kind of like brought it to a more obnoxious level, I would
Yes.
say, though.
Maybe. I mean, there was always
but-
what's his name? What's the rich guy who
You gotta do better than that.
you know, back in the 80s or 90s or something, the rich guy who was super rich guy who was only that was like his platform that he was rich. You know what I'm talking about?
I know you're talking about
Ross Perot.
Ross Perot. Yeah,
The
That
whole
is
the-
not who I
he
fucking
bought the TV time.
Yeah, but Ross Perot's the whole meme about Ross Perot was that Dana Carvey even made fun of was can I finish? Can I finish?
Yeah,
You know, like
right,
so
right.
that's my point being that's a thing. That's a debate thing.
That actually does make me think though, like it's the media more than anything where they want the circus and they don't really care about policy. They just
It's
want
actually,
sound bites.
I was thinking about, Ryan, as far as the medium goes, I'd like to hear what you think about this. Like, we have the internet, we have YouTube now.
Yeah.
There's really no reason for them to do this format where everyone has to like squabble over time.
You
they could have
to
just done
for
something
most
where
of America,
everybody,
I think. Like
couldn't
they
make,
had
like, an
bigger
interactive
numbers. They had
website
Super
or
Bowl.
something?
They
I
had
don't know.
Super Bowl numbers for viewage. Like people tuned in for it.
I know. But that's the freaking, I don't know.
But is
that's
that because
my-
is that because the networks still kind of own the broadcast, you know?
Well, like, okay, Biden, not Biden, I don't think he's doing anything, but Bernie and Warren are both really big on social media, all social media. And so they're doing that also, and it's making waves, but at the same time, it's not that. It's not Super Bowl numbers. Like,
I think
Yeah.
they wanted the spectacle because they wanted the viewership because they wanted to sell the ad space.
well, I just like the closest, like,
Well, the
media
networks
in
for sure.
general, I
EJ.
think are jackals, regardless of which side they're on.
Yeah.
So this is the closest I get to like your like not ANCAP, but like that kind of idea where like if I had one thing that I would burn down to the ground, it'd be media corporations.
Yeah. Maddie Smith just made a good point, which I think ties into what we're talking about, which is I'm waiting for the day when American political debates get done in limits of 144 characters.
Yeah. No, you know,
But
like
it's higher than 140 now. It's like 270.
So switching gears a little bit, why do you think Make America Great Again was so successful and so
'Cause we had a
mimetic
black
and
president.
viral? Okay. All right. Well, look, that's
I mean,
probably got something to do with it. But then the
Done.
other question
Yeah.
was, why was
Racism.
Stronger Together so forgettable and weak
because
as a
it was
slogan?
Hillary Clinton. Everyone hated her.
yeah, she was
I-
We grew up,
having a
do you remember in the 90s, like learning like dumb shit about like when Bill Clinton cheated and like everyone talking like about like Hillary also?
No, listen, I'm not going to argue with you about. I'm not going to disagree with you that like Hillary Clinton definitely had like a lot of albatrosses around her neck
Yeah,
and a lot
yeah.
of public,
A whole
I don't know
flock,
what
yeah.
public
Enmity?
disdain. Yeah, and yeah, but I don't think that that's why the slogan failed.
Oh no, but I
I
think
think
it
she
was
could have
also
had
this
a
kind of,
slogan that was more successful, even if she was not.
I
yeah,
think
it's curious.
But I think
Go ahead.
Make America Great Again did so well because it really struck a chord with the segment of the population that voted and got, you know, us in the political like people. We had just gotten through 8 years of a Democratic president that was doing a lot of radical like
Wearing tan suits, putting mustard on his hot dogs,
yeah,
bowing to the
Holding a cup.
Japanese
Wild,
prime
crazy.
minister.
He literally got shit for holding a cup.
Yes.
You remember that?
yeah.
Make America Great Again is a racist ass slogan.
Yeah.
And
I
point.
agree. I think
Period.
I mean I think we all agree on that. So then the real
Yeah.
question I have, I guess, the final question is,
But
what was
at
wrong
the
with
same time,
Stronger
hold on. But I
Together?
don't think that's just it. At the same time, it also struck a chord with everyday white collar American conservatives who were, you know, we're tired of things the way that they are, and they want their jobs back, or they're tired of, you know, living paycheck to paycheck, and you know, like, you know, they're tired of a president who's you know, making them pay for everybody's health care and all this kind of stuff, you know, and let's get
Yeah,
back
that's all.
let's get back to America that was American and strong and capitalist. And
Dad, is that you? Dad?
Yeah, what? It's still. I think it's still racism.
Sound like
at the
my
core.
dad.
Like it's
yeah,
still.
I'm not going to disagree with that, but the
I mean, I think there's a racist component to it. There's a rose-colored glasses and a buying into the propaganda of that America used to be great. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's a propaganda story more than
Sure.
more than it matches reality. But okay, so but what was wrong with Stronger Together?
I think that if Trump had used Stronger Together, the effects would have been literally the same.
So you think Trump?
Because it would have
drove
been.
the-
It would have been a white Stronger Together instead of whatever Clinton was doing.
yeah,
That's not a bad point. That could be
And
very
it's-
well be. So
it's
you're
kind
saying
of
that
in
Trump
line
drove
with-
the message.
Yes.
yes, I agree with that. Trump. I'm going to circle back to that in a second. I wanted to not call out, but recognize Justin McGuffin in the chat
Getting
room who said
dragged.
"Stronger Together" was disingenuous, which I think is the sort of kind of the point that Ryan's making, which is if someone else had been making it, it might have even been stronger. Anybody else, because I think a lot of people saw that as just it felt workshopped. It felt like coming from whom it was coming from. I don't know if I used my
No, I think you're
Word
right.
correctly.
Kind of
Like,
kind
I
of
think
phony. To me, it seems a little hollow. I don't know
Right.
why.
See,
I can't put my finger on why.
I think it's fine, and if had like Bernie used it, it would have worked.
So do you think that just out of curiosity, Ryan, do you think that Donald Trump could have said almost like anything and it would have picked
Not
up?
anything. It just has to be something that can be not misconstrued, but for lack of a better word, misconstrued by his followers to mean what he
he
is
certainly
dog
could have
whistling.
said a lot of things, because if there's one thing that and I've said this for a long time, if there's one thing that can be said that our president does really well, is the media. He understands the media. And that's what he does
No, he
really well, is
understands.
he
He's
turns
good
the
at it.
media and twists it and uses it to his advantage to great effect.
Yeah.
And so it could have been a lot of different slogans. Like, but but that's the one he went with. So
Can I do a side question with him over
Yeah.
there? Are you guys? Is there like a general worry of like things escalating or anything like that? Like him like walking across the
yeah,
DMC
Trump's over
line
in
and stuff like that?
in Vietnam right now, isn't he?
Oh,
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Korea.
I'm not personally
yeah,
worried
Korea,
about it,
that's
and I doubt that the Koreans are
That's
worried
what I
about it. Like when I spent my time in South Korea and all that, basically, I don't think that they're really very worried about like a nuclear war or a hot war or anything like that, generally speaking. Because there'd
They're
be
not?
times where
Okay.
like when I was there, it was really the tensions were really high,
Mhm.
and my mom was calling me every day like in tears,
Really?
and she was like, "Are you okay?" Yeah, because there was like a lot of tension, and it was in 2012, 2013, the Gangnam Style era of
Yeah.
South Korea, and
Right.
but then I would look
Gangnam
around and like
Style.
everyone's just totally fine. Nobody really paid that much attention to it. So
Right.
I mean, and I'm more worried about Trump, frankly, than Kim Jong Un. But I don't think that.
Because he's on
don't
Twitter,
think that they're
he's
gonna-
straight up saying like, "Yeah, meet me at the DMZ. You know, I'll come over there and shake your hand." You
I
know,
find
like,
it really entertaining that you go with the mob boss voice.
it's. I mean,
It's very
he
accurate.
feels like a mob boss to me. So
I mean, he's a New York City real estate tycoon. Come
Yeah.
on, there's got to
Yeah.
be some mafia
I'm
connection.
I'm
going
not
on.
good at impressions, but that's the closest I can get.
But yeah,
But I'm personally not worried about it.
yeah, okay.
I don't know. I just think that's just a bunch of pomp and circumstance. I think that like when he came to Hanoi, it was like it was all showboating. I don't think that Trump really gives a shit, honestly.
No, okay, yeah. I was wondering about that.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
to circle it back
it is disconcerting that Trump has that power, though. For God's sake, it is disconcerting.
yeah.
I can't lie about that.
To circle it back to the more broad question that you were asking, EJ, I do think it's necessary to have these kinds of campaign slogans. You have to stand out. Like, that's it. Like, you have to have your soundbite. You have to have your, big size 72 font.
Is that a good thing or a
images
bad
on-
thing for democracy?
I don't know.
And is there other solutions if it's a bad thing, or
I mean, what would
if
the
it's a good thing, I
alternative
guess?
be? That like if you didn't do that, like, at least I think it's okay. At least you're getting the fact to those people who wouldn't otherwise care. You're getting the fact that there is an election coming up out in front of their faces.
it's like the lowest standard of democracy. Hopefully they at
making
least
them
know that we're having an
you're
election
making
this
them
year.
aware of some people, and if they care enough, then they will go and look those people up. Those people that are being affected by that are the people who wouldn't be participating otherwise, and the people who I think are digging deep and who care about politics are going to be doing it anyway, and they're not. I mean, I hesitate to say that they're not going to be affected by those slogans, because I truly think that they actually are. I mean, like, everyone's affected by marketing and media, but
you have to beat name recognition, one, and that's why Biden's so far ahead and Sanders is so far. And also, to solve it, I would bring back the fairness doctrine, which would basically kill Fox News, which would be a lot of good.
That was something that Rush Limbaugh was always terrified of, was the fairness doctrine.
It's
The
a very
fairness
good
doctrine
thing.
was what allowed talk radio to exist.
Yeah,
Did you know
and
that?
talk radio is a blight upon humanity.
Yeah. What was I gonna say about there's this whole thing about like, well, but here's the question, Ryan. I'm just curious. If you had the fairness doctrine come up today, like, how would you decide which interests get equal time and which don't?
Well, it wasn't an equal time, as I recall. It's more fact over opinion. And I haven't looked at the actual legalese in a long time, or even thought about it really. But the basic idea is that you can't put out opinion as news. So your op-eds are still fine, and they're doing their dumb thing.
The litmus test for the FCC was honest, equitable, and balanced.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 criteria.
And the honest and equitable is what I would like. Cronkite, dry news, done.
Yeah.
The scary thing about that whole idea, though, is like who gets to make those decisions about what.
I mean, yeah.
honest
Nowadays,
and equitable.
it's the monster that's ahead of the.
Because you were just
FCC,
talking
so,
about how
yeah.
you hate media corporations.
Oh yeah. But I still think that would be better if we had a legal check on stuff like news radio, talk radio. News radio is good. I like that show.
Truth.
Michael J. Fox.
Yeah. Yeah. Come on. Let's do this.
I like that Michael J. Fox.
Everybody, do the robot.
All right.
But I don't have a section.
No, I know. What I was going to say is, do you want to talk about video games or do you want to read the email
No.
that we got?
Hell no. Let's do the email.
That's Ryan's segment.
Yeah.
I wish I could phone it in.
Give me another bumper. Bump me out.
Right. So I have to reverse the bumper like this? Do it again?
Get me out of here. We're in my zone still.
Okay. Okay. We'll bump you out with this.
And now for something completely different.
Good job.
All right. Dear JBYC panel, how do I get over my fear of rejection? I can't even ask a girl out because I'm afraid that she'll say no. I don't think I'm bad looking, but I'm afraid that I'll look stupid when I get rejected. Or will you reject me too? I don't think I could take it. We're not going to reject you. Yeah. What do you think?
I have a lot of advice.
Do you
I have
really?
a lot of advice because I used to have this problem so bad. I was so afraid to talk to anybody.
Yeah, I will say
actually-
that I'm the least qualified to give advice here. I have been dating my wife since I was a senior in high school. She's basically the only person I've ever dated. I had girlfriends before that, but they were like, stupid.
Girlfriend.
You were scared that she would reject you, though.
You
did.
I was.
You did what? Actually, I would say that Bobby made a big mistake. He got lucky.
Okay, here we go.
You got lucky.
You think so?
I'll say what I got to
The
say.
wife watch
and
this, Bob?
She
I bet
does
she
not
doesn't
listen
care.
to anything I do, so you're safe.
You're good. Go.
No, I mean, this is exactly what my advice was going to be, was that the first thing you should never do is like take one person and obsess over them for a long, like the unrequited love thing. That's the
Yeah.
worst thing you could do.
Pedestals are very
Yeah.
bad.
Oh yeah, for
Like,
sure.
I
I
think
was a hopeless romantic in high school. I was the John Cusack of our high school.
Yes.
For sure.
Bobby like obsessed over. I mean, it worked out because now they've been married forever and they have kids and stuff. So it worked out in Bobby's case, but generally speaking, it doesn't. Like Bobby's the
Usually
exception
it's
that
a Bruce
proves the rule.
Springsteen song instead.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Wait, what? I
So
missed
I
something.
would- It's a Bruce
Well, it's
Springsteen
a-
like
Okay,
rejection.
People
yeah,
have their
song.
high
Yeah.
in like high school and they never go anywhere else, and
Yeah.
like they're still
Yeah.
stuck in the same ruts. And
Little story about Jack and Diane.
Yeah.
That's not a Bruce Springsteen song, but
I got you.
but so yeah, I mean, I would say the first thing to do, the reason you get so nervous and fear rejection is because you take one person and you put them so high in on this pedestal, like Ryan said. So I would say the first thing you do is just remember that everyone's just another person. They're other human beings. Okay, and then so the second thing I would say is just rip the Band-Aid off. You don't have to be like creepy about it or weird. You just go out, just ask them if they'd like to go get dinner or a drink sometime. It's it's as simple as that. Don't overthink it. You don't have to like stun them with your romantic prowess. The best advice that was ever given to me as far as dating goes is, because I was at this point where I was like really having a hard time dating, and I was talking to this woman that I know who was much older than me and had a lot more experience and stuff. And I was like, man, I just don't feel like I'm ever gonna find a girl and blah blah blah, and I'm afraid that I'm gonna get rejected. and she was like, "Listen, you don't smell bad. You take a shower every day, and you're like, you don't give me the impression that you're going to murder me in my sleep. So you got advantage over most guys."
Oh, hold on. For those watching the stream, the king has entered the conversation. What is the
I'm going
king?
to say something crass, but it's a crass saying that people have a tendency to say. Don't put pussy on a pedestal.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Burger King. I would say don't put. I mean, this
Man, that guy's
applies to all
weird.
genders. This
Yeah.
applies to all genders, though.
Calm
Because I think
down.
that anybody of
The king,
Yeah,
the
he's
Burger
the
King.
worst.
Burger King, don't put any individual on a pedestal.
Yeah.
Is what I would say. And actually, Queer Core Central, Alex the Ancom Squirrel has another good point, which is if they say no, don't keep trying.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's the whole thing. I used to do this like very like sharpshooter rifle strategy. Okay, this sounds really creepy now.
Tell me more
No,
about
what I
how
mean
you
is-
put women in your crosshairs.
Well, I said something
No,
terrible.
I would like.
Now you
I
can
would
as
pick
well.
one person. I would pick one person, and like
Stalk them.
obsess over them. Basically, stalk them. Basically, think about like all day and night about how I can impress them or whatever. And it would just build up this terror, you know. So at one point, I was just like, I'm just gonna do the shotgun technique, and I'm just gonna get as many dates as possible.
Yeah, I remember this.
You know what I
phase in
mean?
your
Like
life.
as many first dates as possible.
Yeah.
And just like, and it's so much easier that way because for one thing, people surprise you. Sometimes the person that you think is going to be amazing ends up being really boring to talk to, and then sometimes the person that you thought was going to be boring ends up being really interesting and cool. So like,
So do you think?
and also
do you
there's
think
no
it's a good-
accounting for.
Do you think it's a good strategy to just say, like, if the goal is to get over the generalized fear of rejection, do you think it's a good strategy to just say, like, just go to the bar or the pub or wherever you go and just ask someone out on a date? Like, just do it. You know?
Don't
Is
just,
that a
like-
good strategy? Or is
No,
that
don't
weird?
Maybe
like,
buy
go
them a
at-
drink or something, or maybe ask
Like-
them to have a drink with you.
Well, that's
might
kind
be
of what I
okay.
mean. You know, like.
Depending on your age and your situation. and all
Keep
that,
in
I don't
mind,
know.
last time I asked somebody out, I was asking them to go to Applebee's with me. You know, like,
Like I meet people in a bar situation, but often it's in like we're both doing our own thing and we have friends in common or something like
Yeah.
that. I think in realistic advice, if you're worried about that kind of thing, go to groups that have similar interests. Usually it's stuff like board game night or whatever, or do like trivia or something like that, where you're doing something with a bunch of people of mixed genders that have a similar interest and you can talk to them about that.
Yeah,
And then
that's
get
true.
to know people, be it them or their friends, or just get to know people in general. That gives you a foot into the door of relationships as a whole.
But don't also the other thing, just speaking of like having similar interests and stuff like that, I used to think it was so important that you have like all the exact same interests as somebody else.
oh yeah. No.
I don't think that's true at all. I think you just need to meet people. I used to think like, well, if they're not well read and quite literate and of the same opinion of me, I used to be very, like so pretentious about what kind of mate I was trying to find, and then I realized like. You don't know. You can't judge a person by their interests and that sort of thing. You might click with somebody who is very different from you. And so yeah, I just say go out there, meet people. Don't take it so seriously. Have fun. Don't put pressure on yourself and don't put pressure on them.
Get on Tinder.
Relax.
Do some dates.
Get on Tinder. Do some
Yeah.
swiping.
So
Yeah.
I
don't
so here's
It's low stakes.
the reason I asked the question that I asked about just getting out there and asking people is because I was specifically thinking about the fear of rejection from a psychology perspective, like how would you get over that? And my thought was, like exposure therapy, like get
Yes,
rejected.
I was about to say yes. Exposure therapy. Exactly. It's
Like
vital.
Yeah.
Do it.
It's just like sales. You get
reject-
10 no's for every yes.
Yeah, do it, get rejected, recover, and realize that after you do that a couple times, maybe you start to realize like, okay, I can get rejected and I'll move, and life still goes on.
Yeah.
It's okay because like all this advice that you guys are giving is great, but the fact is that rejection will probably still happen. So
And you just have to
yeah.
just get back up on that horse, buckaroo.
And that's what dating apps are really good about.
Yeah.
You still meet the person, or you don't sometimes, but like it's more streamlined, and I won't say mechanical, but like it's like, okay, well, that happen.
Yeah. Also, you'll get if you go on a lot of dates, and if you kind of lower your standards and lower your expectations, you'll get to do some rejecting sometimes, and that builds your confidence a little bit. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean,
I
that
think
sounds
there is
cruel,
something
but
to
it's
that,
like
yes.
you'll learn from a bad date. You'll go on a bad date, and you'll be like, well, this isn't the kind of person that I want to be with.
I am ghosting that person.
Don't ghost them. Don't ghost people. Just tell them that you're. At least come with a good lie. Tell them your
Hold
grandma
on.
died.
You can ghost if on a Tinder first date. I think ghosting is completely okay.
Yeah.
If you get two or
I
three
don't
dates
know.
in, you better say something.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's polite to just say something. Say like, "Oh, I'm moving."
I have to wash my
You know.
hair.
Sorry, I'm dead.
Yeah. This is Ryan's mom. Ryan passed away.
I know he sounds.
I'm
my
so
mom
sorry.
Oh,
sounds
this is a
just
good one.
like me.
What are your best what are your best what are your best ways to get out of it? You know, like
Get out of a date or out of a relationship. Those are different.
no,
Or just out of the
Out of
conversation.
it. We're very specifically talking out of this conversation. Yeah, we're very specifically talking about the Tinder situation, right? So like you're chatting. Oh, I've changed my mind. Do
Depends on the reasoning. Like if they're like insane, then like I'm willing to say like, yeah, this isn't working out, and just say it. But I don't know,
or
like if they're nice, like
could you pretend to be? I liked the like. This is Ryan's mom. He's actually only 13. I don't know how he.
oh, look at the time.
You're
on
saying
my
before they ever
imaginary
even
watch.
meet?
Yeah.
I don't know. You could ghost somebody you've never actually met in real life. Okay, I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah. Anyway, I think
thought-
this
I
is
thought
all
we
real.
met one time. You can ghost one time meet. One time only. If
One-
you've
you
had
get-
one, if you just met, it's been 3 hours. It's all you've ever encountered them, and then you leave, and you don't have to talk to them again. You can just
Ryan's
not
the
talk
Phantom
to
of
them again.
Tinder.
I think that's a very common thing. I think you don't
A
realize.
specter is haunting Tinder.
I think
Spectre
all of the
Ryan.
advice that these two guys have given is great. I feel more confident about the potential and inevitable divorce that I'm going to have, and
Stop
whereas
lying to us about us being good at advice. We're
whereas
not good at
before I thought I would never survive, and I fearfully stayed and did it. You know, like well, I would not survive in a world. I don't know how to date, but I feel better now.
Sounds like the makings for a great reality
You didn't
show.
listen to us at all.
Ryan, will you get divorced for a reality show pilot? I have an idea for.
Sure.
Bobby?
That music means we've come to the end of the show. That's it. That's it for the show. So if you you want to, I don't know where I'm going. What my brain stopped working. As you know, this week's theme was hope, and if you want to vote on what the future theme,
I guess we sort of talked about hope.
we did. It was a very hopeful. We talked about the hope of getting
We were
over
just there. We know
rejection.
what happened.
The
Jeez.
hope of
Hope and change of Barack Obama.
yeah. So as you know, this week's theme is hope. If you want to vote on what the show's future themes are going to be, head on over to our Discord server. We'll have a poll up. Next week's theme has already been decided by the community, and it's going to be public transit. EJ finally gets public transit. So send us your news, stories, topics, prompts, anything you want us to talk about having to do with that theme. Did you know that we aren't the ones who decide the topics to be voted on? Who decides?
You decide.
That's right. Our after party chat picks all the items that go on the poll, and then everyone votes for the theme. So if you want to get something on the poll, come hang out live and stay for the after party. You can find our email and Twitter at jbyc.net. Watch us live on YouTube at youtube.com/JBYC show every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, or listen to the podcast wherever you get podcasts. Send us emails. We I think that was the last one in our queue. We're out of emails. We need your emails. We like answering those. The music just ran out and it's starting over again, so I'm gonna say goodbye. Goodbye, you guys. Staying out for the after party if you're here live.
Wait,
say
what's
goodbye.
the topic?
Huh?
Did you
Next
say it?
week's topic, yes, I said it is public transit.
I wasn't paying attention.
Public
Oh, okay.
transit.
It went in my ear and
Public.
right back out.
All right.
Transit.
So here, yeah, funny. Here we go. Bye bye.
Was before you stepped on the joke. Yeesh.